I take absolutely everything that anyone has ever given me for anything, and then I look at it, and if I like it, I keep it close, and if I think it's not that pertinent to me now, I still keep it, but I put it away for a later day. I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel. However, sometimes you don't want a wooden wheel, you want maybe a rubber tire or something like that. So you can change things that people give you to suit you. And you will always teach differently to how the person next to you is going to teach, and you're going to teach your classes differently. So you might have a year 8 class that works really well one way, but you know that your year 10 class needs to work differently. So as far as taking things and making them your own, you might have a lot of different types of own to make things into. I look online for a lot of things, especially I love looking at games or even problem-solving games, or any type of activity games where the kids can get up and do something, and seeing if I can change that to make it a drama activity, just to keep things a little bit fun. And I just might make that a warm-up as opposed to a learning activity. But there's a really good website called thedramateacher.com.au, something like that. And that's actually a really, you can read all the forums on that, you can add to it, you can ask questions. And Drama Victoria has a whole lot of different resources, best of being all the teachers involved in Drama Victoria, and they're all really friendly, and you can ask them anything and they will give you the time of day. Despite how cliquey they appear from the outside, they're pretty cool. And most people actually want to give you all the resources that they have. Some people don't. I don't understand those people, but they don't. Some people won't assume you would want their resources. I think that's more of a... I think that's what it is. They don't assume that you would want it, so they just don't offer it. But if you ask for anything that they have, they'll give it to you. And no matter what school you're at, odds are someone has taught drama there before and will have some worksheet of some description. I read a lot of books, even though I don't really... there's no drama textbook that I've found that I have seen an activity in and gone, yep, I'm going to take exactly what's there and do it in a classroom. Probably it might be my anti-textbook feel, but it's probably because drama is a very practical activity and workbooks seem to be more, I don't know, written based. But there's always something there that I like the idea of, so I'll take it and I'll use it in a different way, or I'll use it in 5 different ways and they're all right for the same thing. So don't ignore what other people give you. Even if someone's going to give you something for English and you're like, I'm never teaching English, why would I have that? You might be able to use it in drama. So don't throw out anything that anybody gives you.
Yeah, I think in terms of coming up with new ideas, I have the luxury of working with a team of drama teachers, and I know that that's not the case for all drama teachers. When I first started teaching, I was the the single drama teacher in a school full of other subject specialists, and that was hard. So now I've got the opportunity to bounce things off my colleagues, because I think that that's really important, especially if you're sort of working, we have multiple year 8 drama classes running, for example, and so at certain points within the curriculum my colleagues might say, oh, I tried such and such the other day, oh, what a great idea. So that's really wonderful. I've got a lot of value out of Drama Victoria conferences and workshops in the past, and that's really, I think that the strength of those workshop experiences for me has been about other teachers sharing their practice wisdom through practical experience, because as a drama teacher I'm a kinesthetic learner myself, so the best way for me to experience something is to jump on the floor and do it, and then I can sort of start to get a sense of how might this work with the people that I work with. There's some great books as well. There's a Jonathan Nealon's book called, I think it's called Structuring Drama. You can footnote that with whatever the correct one is. I think that, and what's really great about that book is it gives you the shape of lots of different drama activities, and then you can sort of insert your own thematic focus or subvert the game or the process, in whatever way that you want. In terms of experimenting, there is sometimes they're accidents, and it's what the kids bring into the room. I remember one day I wanted to teach character development, and the group of boys wanted to play musical chairs. So I created this game called Musical Characters, which was about essentially just sort of taking that game and turn it into a way for kids to experiment with gait and gesture and voice of the characters, and that became an elimination sort of game. And then so sometimes it's about what the kids bring in. And also I think that once you have an experience where an experiment works, you get more and more confidence to have a go at making up more and more yourself. But I think if you're open to, one of the best teachers that I've ever seen, I think, just made it really clear that they were open to playing with the students, but you're not just one of the students. You have this overarching view of what it is that you want them to have by the end of the lesson that guides where you take the game.
To be honest, especially for the first part of my career, I invent a lot of the activities that I do in class. I don't want to make out that I'm original, because I quite often then speak to drama teachers or whatever, and they say, oh yeah, I do that in my class as well, so I think I've invented it, but obviously other people do too, or have got it from somewhere else. The sources of activities for me, and ideas, being part of the Monash Festival was a really important, when we started doing that was really important for me as a drama teacher. Just seeing the workshops that the Monash students were doing with our kids was just, oh wow, that's something I could do in class, that's something I could do in class. So it opened me up to a whole lot of ideas that I hadn't invented for myself yet. So that's don't want to suck up or anything, but that's a good source of ideas for me. I find the students themselves are often quite good at coming up with not so much big ideas, but little ideas. A lot of activities I do in drama, because I focus a lot on confidence building and that sort of stuff with my kids, share a lot of similarities with the sort of initiative games and leadership games that you get in a lot of other sort of areas. So you'll get kids that have been part of a peer support group will come in and say, oh, I know this great game that we played, and they're often not hard to adapt for drama purposes, so I get a lot that way. TV shows like Whose Line Is It Anywhere, and Thank God You're Here when that was on, and those sort of things. I have Foxtel, so they're constantly on repeat, and they're a good source of activities as well. Anything really. I go to as many plays as I can, as many shows in the comedy festival as I can, as many performances as I can get to.
So to plan and to find new ideas, I start with reading and looking at the course design and the curriculum design, and it's different at every school, although at VCE level VCAR prescribes certain things. So I always start when I'm teaching, for example, if I'm teaching Year 12 Theatre Studies, which I've been teaching for 6 years, I always start with looking at the study design. And for example, this year, I feel like I'm in 2013. This year, our study design's changed. So I've spent my summer doing is going through the changes of the study design and the similarities between the study design from last year and this year. My first point of call actually was to, I've got a network of teachers on an email group, and it's just a whole lot of drama and theatre studies teachers, and we all, we met up through going to see shows and productions and Drama Victoria conferences and things like that, and there are about 100 of us on the network. And the first thing I did was actually email out asking people what they were doing, what they thought of the new course, what they were doing with the new course, how they were going to plan their outcomes, what had changed for them. So one of the things that I did first was we started swapping ideas. Me and other teachers. There were lots of new teachers on the network, so they were all freaking out about how to teach the new course design. So it's a really nice network of sharing ideas. Lots of people shared their actual documentation, so people put up SACs and assessment tasks and things like that. So you've got solid things to look at. I don't like to just use other people's plans or ideas, because I find that my kids are particular to, and all of your kids, everyone's students will be. You'll have different types of students that you teach, and they'll have different needs and different requirements, and your school will have different requirements. So my school, for example, is very academic, but a lot of the students that study theatre studies are really passionate about it, and I usually get half really academic students in my class who are really, really smart, and half the students in my class are normally very passionate about their acting and their performance, but they're actually academically, they struggle. So I've usually got a mix in my class. So I really love the course to be not just about, even though I'm focused on them doing well and focused on planning to the SACs and the content, I love to make sure that it's about the world for them. So I always start the year with what is theatre, and what does it mean to them, and what does it mean in our world, and what does it mean in our life, and what does it mean in our times, and where did it come from, and why are we where we are, and how theatre's become what it is, and how it affects them and how they're part of it. And so I feel like teaching theatre studies for me has to be current, and it has to be about the kids, and they've got to be passionate about it. So if you start from just course design and theory and telling them all the SACs and all of that stuff, it feels very overwhelming. If you start from, we're going to be putting on a production, and we're going to be learning about being theatre makers, and we're going to learn about how to make theatre in the world, and I feel like that's a beautiful place to start from. And then you can pretty much use everything, because then you can use the study design, and you can use notes on how to be a good director, and changing direction, which is different approaches to approaching theatre, and in-depth acting, which is how to be a good actor, and like all your theatrical styles books and your theatre studies books, and the internet's full of stuff, and some of it's not good. Like some of it you've got to siphon through it, but some of it's great. And people put huge units of work up on the internet, and sometimes you look through things and you see little things that you think you can use, and you think that would be an amazing introduction, or that your kids will love doing something in character, so you find this terrific character workshop, and that gets you into text and style, or there are so many ways in, but I feel like the main thing is with my planning that I always try and cater for the kids that I'm planning for. So to make sure that if there are really clever kids and really talented kids, but then kids that struggle in between, to make sure that they all feel like they're part of a group straight away, and they all feel like they're part of something important, and the subject's not just going to be a subject, the subject's going to be like a life experience, and we're going to do something special. We're going to put on a show. We're going to learn all these things about being theatre makers and actors, and we're going to learn how to treat each other well and how to be generous in the world. And I feel like then you can take all the course content and use it. I don't know if I answered the question.
I tend to look online for a lot of things. I look at YouTube is your friend, obviously, Google is your friend. I still go back to textbooks. So at the moment, one of our school priorities is looking at formative assessment and embedding embedding great teaching practice using technology. So I still go back to textbooks for ideas. TED Talks is great. Speaking to other colleagues, actually, other drama teachers at other schools is really great. So just an example, I'm sure everyone knows Zip Zap Boing as an activity. It's one of the ones that we do to death. It was only when I was talking to someone else and they're like, yeah, oh God, that activity is just so painful. We've created one that's Charlie's Angels style, and they have to, and then they're taking the bullet and then they're doing this. And, and for me, I was like, that's great. I totally want to steal that. And then I start to think about how can I rework that for me. So I'll take something like that and go, right, okay, the theatre studies class are really struggling with those Greek playwrights, so let's create that. Let's use those names. Let's do Euripides, Aeschylus. Let's totally rework that so that they're comfortable with that terminology and those kind of words, rather than going, oh, that guy who starts with an A, something confusing. So working it for you and thinking about how can I reuse that, but in a different way. Kids get really bored of the same, as we do as teachers as well, the same activities. So PD, obviously, going on PD. Yeah, I think that's the best way.
Okay, so I'll just get you to talk a little bit about where you go to find new ideas for content or activities, and how you then go on to make those your own.
Okay, I am I guess a technology moron, and I also start to get a little resentful because when we put information on ebook or the school's curriculum is accessible for the parents in the flash of an internet, I just think sometimes kids are completely bombarded with all sorts of YouTube and blogs and drama teacher websites, and you can find your activities there. I come from other teachers. I love student teachers. They always come up with ideas. I love graduate teachers. I've got a graduate teacher this year who's come in with some really interesting information. I've got a teacher who's moved into my faculty. There's 6 of us teaching drama at my campus, coming in from the music department, and he's brought in all these uploaded pieces of work that he worked with Circus Oz for a while. Other drama teachers out in the field. I mix with people who are considerably younger than me. I mentor other drama teachers. So it's about listening to other people, and there's no assumption that you stop learning. You just keep learning. And the kids will come in, my kids will come in with things, YouTube grabs, and they'll go, what do you think of this? And I'll say, that's crap. Okay, what do you think of this? I'll go, explain to me why this one works and the other one doesn't. The kids, particularly in the VCE, can run the concepts when they're doing their own productions really adequately. There's more than adequately. They'll come up with visuals and images and will be so excited and exciting because they're the one owning the work. So younger teachers, sometimes teachers on Facebook will put, Drama Peeps as a Facebook group. There's lots of other Facebook groups, and I'll go, okay, I'll get into that. And sometimes it's terrific, sometimes I'm not in the mood to go trawling through that crap. But yeah, I look at books, I look at best practice at Drama Victoria conferences. I go into something, okay, we're going to do puppetry. I type in puppetry companies in Melbourne. Polyglot came up, we got Polyglot out. They did newspaper puppets with my kids. I sat in on every single one of their workshops with the kids. I learned a whole unit of work. So practical stuff and listening to kids.